How's it going guys, Kris here with another Battlefield 5 gun guide for you today, and in this one we're going to be looking at the S2-200 MMG for the support class. Pretty interesting weapon that came along in Tides of War Chapter 4. After the First World War, the Treaty of Versailles imposed restrictions on the German armed forces, limiting the type and quantity of weapons allowed to be produced for their military. This included machine guns, and became a pretty big problem for gun designers and companies situated in Germany at the time, who tried to think of ways to get around these laws. A rapid-firing machine gun called the S2-100 was being designed behind the scenes there, but it was banned from being produced domestically, so it was instead outsourced to factories in Switzerland and Austria, where its manufacture didn't conflict with the treaty. This gun was updated not long after to the S2-200, aka the MG30, which was adopted by both Austria and Switzerland in 1930 where it was made, followed by the Hungarians at a later date who were also interested in the weapon too. Although it was initially designed with the German army in mind, it was actually rejected by them as an infantry weapon, though the Luftwaffe, who were rebuilding at the time, did repurpose the gun to be used on aircraft, adopting it as the MG15. Though with that said, once Austria was annexed by the Germans in 1938, they went on to produce the S2-200 for their military, to be used in limited quantities during the war, and although production of the gun ended shortly after in around 1940, its design would go on to inspire other, much more well-known weapons like the MG34 and the MG42, some of Germany's most infamous firearms. So diving into the in-game stats now, the S2-200 dishes out the same damage figures as all the other MMGs, dealing 25 up to 10 meters, which then sharply drops off over distance, eventually reaching its minimum damage value of 15 at 75 meters, which isn't really anything out of the ordinary when looking at these type of weapons. This means that, just like the others, the gun can take people out in just 4 shots, within those very close-up ranges up to 10 meters. But for every 20 meters beyond this, the bullets needed to kill is going to be increased by 1, up until the range of 50 meters, taking up to 7 shots to drop another player from there. So basically, if you want to take down the target beyond medium range, you can often take quite a few bullets to get the job done. With the S2-200 firing at the rate of 770 RPM though, this is relatively quick, but still sort of in the middle of the faster and slower firing MMGs, giving it somewhat competitive kill times, but not exactly anything too ferocious, with it matching up to the M1922. With that said, fire rate can be increased up to 900 RPM with the light bolt, potentially making it much deadlier by putting it just 81 RPM behind the base MG42. Though doing this doesn't come without its problems, which we'll talk about in just a minute or so. With the S2-200 having the horizontal recoil figures of 0.2 for both left and right directions, this does make it relatively precise, considering the gun fires at the speed it does, actually giving it a pretty nice balance between its fire rate and accuracy, which can ensure more bullets will land on target, therefore helping to reduce those kill times. The one issue the gun does have though regarding recoil is with that vertical value, with 1.75 actually being the joint highest in the class, matching up with the MG42. A gun notorious for having a bit of a crazy recoil pattern. Although this won't really affect its accuracy too much, it will impact the S2-200's stability, jumping up more violently and generally being more difficult to control, often meaning you'll need to fire in shorter bursts to counter that kick in order to land shots on enemies further away. Of course, this can limit the gun's effectiveness and ease of use over distance, though it does have access to specializations which will lower both vertical and horizontal recoil, along with tightening up spread with the bipod, which can help you out with the gun's kick and make it more viable over further ranges. Because the S2-200 is also a fairly accurate MMG with a decent fire rate, this also allows it to perform better than a lot of the others when hip-fired too, often letting you cut down players nearby easier without the need of that bipod. Now this is the section that sets the S2-200 apart from the other MMGs, being a far less suppressive weapon, actually having more in common with the light machine guns. The weapon's only got access to 30 round magazines, which can't be increased through specializations, and with it expending its ammo at such a high rate, you'll only typically be able to take on an enemy or two before you'll need to reload, contrasting heavily with the other MMGs, which can often keep going and going. This low ammo capacity doesn't exactly do the gun any favours, and these problems are only going to get worse if you ramp up that fire rate with the light bolt spec, becoming harder to control and often running out of shots before you can finish off the other player, a sudden interruption which can often get you killed. However, the problem of running out of ammo is offset by the fact that the S2-200 reloads are snappy and fairly consistent, only taking 2.1 seconds for a tactical reload and 2.65 seconds when it's all out of shots. So although you'll have to keep reloading more often, at least you'll be able to do so quite quickly, especially if you choose to reduce these times even further with the quick reload spec, helping to improve the weapon's reliability and reduce the chances of you getting caught out in between those mag swaps. Time to run over those specializations, and at the top of the spec tree, you're going to find quick reload on the left and the recoil buffer on the right, two options that are going to help to counter some of the gun's crucial weaknesses. Although quick reload's going to give the S2-200 some lightning fast mag swaps, because it already reloads fairly quickly as it is, I find the recoil buffer to be a more useful choice in comparison, with that upwards kick generally posing more of a problem due to the gun having such a high vertical value. Further down, you'll be met with the flashless propellant and light bolt specs on the left side, reducing muzzle flash and increasing the fire rate to 900 RPM. There on the right, you'll be able to choose from the ported barrel and improved bipod instead, boosting the weapon's overall accuracy and making that bipod even more effective. This is the side I'd opt for personally, as the gun's already got some decent kill times, and having more precision is going to make it even more effective over distance, actually helping to decrease the time to kill here, due to more bullets landing rather than missing. The light bolt might sound enticing, but it can often cause more problems than it solves, increasing recoil, forcing more shots to miss, along with depleting those already small magazines even quicker, often making it feel less dependable. Last of all, we've got incendiary bullets on the left, increasing damage against planes, and high velocity bullets on the right, to increase muzzle velocity, which I'd say is the more useful option, helping to boost its range performance. Though I guess that depends on how often you like shooting at planes. For the majority of you guys though, I'd probably say not very often. So anyway, in conclusion, the S2-200 is definitely one of the more unique MMGs, functioning quite differently in the way it handles its ammunition. Where the others are better suited for sustaining fire and suppressing groups of enemies from defensive positions, the S2-200 is more suited to picking off players one at a time, having a nice balance of accuracy and power to make it effective over most ranges. It does have a fair few notable drawbacks though, one being its lack of stability, forcing you to fire off your shots in smaller groupings if your target's quite far away, and another being its small magazine size, which can sometimes seem tricky to keep on top of, with the fast pace of the gun's rate of fire forcing you to reload often, and sometimes interrupting your flow, leaving you in awkward situations with your pants down mid-gunfight. Nippy reload speeds do help to balance this out a bit though, making the S2-200 more reliable in between gunfights, and of course, favouring those who generally have the habit of reloading after every kill or so. It can sometimes feel like a trickier weapon to get to grips with, having more of a learning curve than some of the other MMGs, but so long as you know the gun's limitations, the S2-200 stats generally make it a fairly versatile weapon as a whole, allowing it to be effective over most ranges, and with both offensive and defensive playstyles. And down to having a good balance between its power, speed and accuracy, you can often get away with hip-fire kills up close too without the need of a bipod, giving it more flexibility in close quarters. So that's all I've got for you this time folks. Hope you learned a few things and enjoyed the video. Thumbs up if you did, and subscribe for more Battlefield guides right here on my channel. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll be seeing you in that next one.